we feel like there's such a sense of urgency to make a call. When we come to these big transitions, yes, of course, in life, there will always be those emergencies that crop up, hopefully not for all of us and definitely not all of the time. But actually, if it's not an emergency, can you just stop and take a breath and just give yourself all of the space that you need?
Hey, I'm Tanya Wilkinson, and this is Death on the Daily, bringing the conversation about death out of the shadows and into the mainstream. Because along with birth and change, if there's one thing that's going to happen to us all, then death is it. And we're going to explore how death actually shows up for us on the daily in a multitude of ways, and how when we allow ourselves to accept and to be with death, how it can teach us a whole heap about how to live this life well.
So in Death on the Daily, we speak to all of the ways that death shows up for us in life. And that includes not just through losing those who we love, but it also includes other of life's transitions, including in our careers. And when you think about just how much time we spend in work, how much energy we invest in work, and for many of us, myself included, during my corporate career, how much of our identity can be defined by work. When we move through those transitions, it can bring up a lot. And in my recent conversation with former professional athlete and Olympian Marilyn Okoro, who won a bronze medal at the Olympics, as well as many, many other medals in her much decorated athletics career, she spoke to the fact that she'd been running since the age of 10. Now, decades later, when she was in her mid-30s, she decided to retire. And it will come as no surprise that obviously brought up a lot, but actually it might come as a surprise at how unprepared, whether it's athletes are at the end of their careers or, more generally, any of us are as we go through these big career transitions and endings. And in my experience, I also felt this myself when I decided to hand my notice in on my corporate career. That was a 14-year corporate career in entertainment. My last role was in the sport Formula One. I was one of the heads of marketing there. And what I was really unprepared for, as Marilyn also speaks to, is life on the other side when your identity has been so defined. For me, that was T, who works in entertainment, T, who's got that cool job in Formula One, or before it was in the music industry or in advertising. So much of me was defined by my work, but also so much of my lifestyle was defined by my work, me being really unboundaried and me giving the very best of myself to the office space instead of to home with my loved ones. All of that had been defined by my work. And when I chose to hand my notice in on my corporate career, I was suddenly, through my 3 months notice and out on the other side. And what I didn't anticipate was just how exposed I would feel in this new chapter, how much I would have to really explore the truth of who I was, to rediscover myself, my values, and really, really connecting into my purpose as I navigated this new chapter into my own business, into, becoming a coach, into eventually becoming a death doula, into also putting myself first. Something that, since I was conditioned to put everything above myself all the way back into school, that I had never managed to do. I'm really inspired by my conversation with Marilyn. What I want to bring today is just a few key lessons that have integrated in me from our conversation about how we can navigate our career and life transitions with more purpose, with more compassion, and with more grace. So first up, I've got recognize and honor yourself and your identity beyond your career. And this was a really, really big one for me. Once I kind of shed the I suppose the mask or the persona of me within corporate, me in my corporate comfort zone, me as a leader within the world of entertainment, I suddenly was like, oh my goodness, what what is left? Who really am I? And I think this is a really important space for us all, including as we are within our existing careers to really look within and see, am I able to be authentically me? Am I honoring myself authentically? Am I focusing on that which is truly most important to me in this life? And actually, as I found when I left Formula One, the answers didn't come quickly. In truth, it took me a good 2 years to really just allow myself the space, as Marilyn also acknowledged, to allow myself space and deeper rest to be able to really explore within, to understand what really, really does truly make me tick. And that's not to say that I wasn't earning. Yes, I did train as a coach. And yes, I founded my coaching business. But what I really did was I gave myself a lot of grace and a lot of space when it come to really identifying, okay, what is my truth? What's my purpose? What's, when a lot of small business owners, you're given that advice of, we need to niche down. We need to get really, really specific. For me, the specificity didn't come because actually I needed to understand at the core of myself who I was. And for the first time in my adult life, to really, truly, deeply, and completely listen to myself over a number of months. So my advice here is get curious, look at yourself. What breadcrumbs can you follow around what is most important to you in this life? What aspects of you really, really light you up, bring you joy, meaning, and purpose? Grab your journal, write these out, and follow those little breadcrumbs to really understand and honor who you are, both within, whether it's this next career chapter, as well as outside of that, making sure that all of you isn't sort of over identifying into a career and that you are honoring all aspects of yourself. Second up, as you navigate this, embrace your support systems and those who are there to mentor you, to listen to you, to coach you, and to give you all of the guidance and advice that you need. I think it's easy for us to assume that we have to navigate these transitions on our own, but we don't. And that's not to say that we should always be going out and seeking others' advice and putting our power into the guidance and advice of others, because actually there's a whole amount of truth within you. So this is twofold. One is finding people who can listen to you and mirror back to you the truth of what you're saying, the brilliance of what you're saying, your intuition as it's speaking through. Who is there who can help to uplift you in your journey and in your mission? And second up, there will be mentors and people who are there who have perhaps walked a similar path that you are walking, perhaps, have the wisdom that you need to learn from. Who is it in your orbit? Who are these, whether it's guides, people to hold space for you and listen to you, people to support you, who can really, really help you in this moment of transition? Because the reality is we don't have to navigate these moments of transition alone. And I think it's really easy. And I had this, in my journey, even as I was working with coaches where, I'd finish sessions with my coaches who'd be really supporting me and guiding me, as well as sessions with my mentors. And then in between, I feel like I'm a little island on my own. I'm a solopreneur. I'm going this alone. And I felt really rudderless at many, many points. And actually, what I realized is when I need to reach out to others, particularly when we are navigating, these personal transitions on our own, it's really, really connecting in and saying, okay, when do I need that support network of others, and reminding ourselves we don't have to navigate this life alone. So if you're navigating a big threshold in life, perhaps a chapter ending and a new one beginning, who is in your support system? Who are your MVPs who are in your corner and going to be there to, whether it's listen to you, to uplift you, to empower you, as well as those who can give you those crucial little bits of guidance, support you on your way. Third up, we've got acknowledging the multiple layers of grief that come in transitions. And this is a really, really important one for me, because not only in my own journey, leaving Formula One and realizing soon after, thanks to a friend who shone that spotlight on the grief that I was experiencing, but also in my work with my clients, when we go through these endings and these transitions, including in our careers, oftentimes when I say, what's coming up for you? How are you really feeling in this moment? And sometimes when I can feel in my clients that there is a sadness there, I will ask that question. I'll just very curiously say, is there any sadness that comes up? Because oftentimes, even when it is our choice and we're really excited about what's to come, it can come with a sadness and a grief. And the amount of clients who said, oh my goodness, wow, thank you for saying that. Because yes, I'm grieving and this is the end of a chapter. And I hadn't let myself really sit with and acknowledge the momentousness of this occasion and the fact that I am leaving stuff behind that I do dearly love. So as you're navigating these moments of transition, whether it's in your career or, these other thresholds in life, just take time to really sit with what is. How are you really feeling in this moment? What's coming up for you? And how can you really honor yourself as you navigate this? Where do you need the space to speak to these feelings? Who in your support network can support you there? As well as even just accepting and acknowledging to yourself and perhaps journaling on it, how you're really, really feeling can help you to understand, okay, like a tree, I'm letting go of some leaves right now. And actually, it's not all, joy. There's perhaps some sadness, but actually, when I root into what's coming up, what I'm sad to let go of, and what I'm really happy and joyful to let go of, that can give us little indicators for this next chapter of what are those important aspects that you want to take forwards into that next chapter? Where are there those joys in this past chapter that actually can inform where you might find joy in this next chapter? And equally, where are there those things that actually perhaps you've been really burned in the last chapter? Perhaps you have had aspects where you have been really unboundaried, not honoring yourself, or circumstances that are just completely out of alignment. How can you get clear on these as well and use that then to inform these new beginnings to make sure that you can move forwards with that deep alignment? Then fourth up, embracing your unique skills and all of the value and worth from these previous chapters, and know that they're going to be carrying forwards into the next chapter. And this is a really important one. When I coach a lot of clients in career transitions, it doesn't surprise me because actually this really reflects on what I was feeling as I exited my corporate career. Could be a real sense of I'm starting again. I'm going from zero, but you're not. All of your life experiences are coming with you. All of that wisdom, that value, and that worth is coming with you. And when you're navigating a career transition that's actually taking you on a completely different path, a bit like for me, going from the world of corporate marketing into the world of coaching, that was a complete gear shift. And at times in my journey, I really, really felt like I'm starting again. My worth is down here. And I had to really root into no, my worth is up here. I am bringing all of this with me, and all of my wisdom and my experience is of value and worth to me in this next chapter and to my clients who I am serving. So don't forget, you're not starting again. Embrace all of your unique skills, all of your experience. And actually, an exercise that I ask a lot of my clients to do, which is really, really powerful, is get some sheets of paper. And what you're going to do is you're going to write out all of your experience, both in work, in life, in everything, going all the way back as well through your studies, beyond. You're going to go into your hard skills, into your soft skills. Where have you worked? What projects have you worked on? What volunteering have you done in your free time? What projects have you done that are just passions outside of work? Write everything down. lay that out on a table and look at it, absorb it, integrate it, and see how much worth you are carrying forwards with you into this next chapter. And as you look at it as well, it might give you a few little breadcrumbs of things that can be woven in, through those transferable skills into, conversations. I find this all the time. I do a lot of consultancy work, and I'm constantly sort of thinking laterally around, okay, what have I worked on? What am I passionate about? What have I studied that is really, really resonant for this project and this client and this brand that I'm speaking to? Fifth up, we've got be patient and give yourself all the time and the space that you need to make those key decisions. And this really resonated from my conversation with Marilyn, actually, where she spoke to the fact that she had that real strong knowing that she was going to retire, but she gave herself a few months. And actually, I think, sometimes, in truth, I did make my decision to leave Formula One quite quickly. It was a space of 24 hours. So sometimes it flows like that. And, we get that real strong intuitive sense. And then there is that absolute certainty. And for me, there was no going back. But equally, I think that, what really resonated from what Marilyn was sharing was, there is no rush. And actually, in truth, my exit from Formula One and that decision to hand my notice in, I didn't feel rushed. I didn't feel an urgency. It was just the fact that I gave myself those 24 hours and I got to that space of knowing. But I would say, when there's big decisions and where we're at those transitions, give yourself all of that space and that time that you need. Because actually, when I think about in my Formula One career, actually, there was many, many times along the road where I had that real knowing, for a good couple of years, had that knowing, what? I know that this isn't it. This isn't my true purpose. But actually, I gave myself those couple of years to really sort of just sit with it, integrate with it, not be in a rush. Before then, in those 24 hours, I made that decision. And obviously, all of our timescales will be different. But yeah, that space is golden. And, in any aspect of life, actually, when I was speaking with Cody Huffstedler recently, the palliative care chaplain, he was talking about, how families, when it comes to decisions around healthcare, when we're given these really big diagnoses in life, again, we feel like there's such a sense of urgency to make a call. When we come to these big transitions, yes, of course, in life, there will always be those emergencies that crop up, hopefully not for all of us and definitely not all of the time. But actually, if it's not an emergency, can you just stop and take a breath and just give yourself all of the space that you need? And the other thing that I would say in this one is around patience. My journey since Formula One has really been one of patience. When I left, I was very impatient about, as I've shared before, understanding what's my niche and, really sort of rooting in and having everything tied up in a lovely bow by way of my business strategy and what I stood for. But actually, as I found impatience and allowing for those moments of deep reflection, of going inwards, of trusting that it's all going to unfold, actually that patience has given me really sustainable growth in this new chapter. Sometimes we go through transitions in our careers where we know we have a job that's sitting waiting for us on the other side, and there's loads that we can do around finding presence in that transition as we move through. But actually our path forwards is very much defined, and sometimes it's not defined. And in either scenario, wherever you just need to give yourself space and patience, do it. Because actually, that can oftentimes be the greatest gift that we give to ourselves. And finally, I just want to say, look after yourself. Because in these transitions, our nervous system can be going through a lot. Marilyn spoke to, her depression and anxiety that came up at the exit and as she navigated life beyond her athletics career. And similarly for me, her words really resonated with me because actually when I root into my first year outside of Formula One, I was so anxious. I remember there was one time where I was lying in bed, it was on a weekend, and I was so anxious about finances. Having left, part of the endings for me was leaving, having a regular monthly paycheck, and all of the stuff that comes with it, the uncertainty, where's my next client going to be coming in from? Taxes, now I now have to pay my taxes in a big lump sum each year. And I was lying in bed and my husband, Jordan, he came, and I'm saying husband now because we just got married. feels rather wonderful to say that. And he came and he lay with me in bed and he just said to me, you know what? This is totally, totally normal. He said, for me as well, at many points in my self-employed life, I've been worried about money. Everybody goes through this. And that for me really gave me, okay, it's okay. It gave me permission to be with what is. And I realized in that moment, this is a really, really big transition on multiple levels, not just in me finding my feet as a coach, in me finding my feet in this new space of being self-employed, in me, having multiple on the daily steps out of my comfort zone. It was really, really uncomfortable. My current reality was uncomfortable. So this is why when we navigate these transitions, whatever is on the other side, but particularly when there is a new beginning that brings those big steps out of our comfort zone, like a career change, look after yourself. Make sure that you're rooting into your self-care and into your community care through that support network. Make sure that first and foremost, you are doing what you need to nourish yourself in these moments. So my question to you, if you're navigating any transition in life or just any times in life where we do feel anxious, where we do feel really uncomfortable because we're out of our comfort zone, ask yourself, what do I need in this moment to bring myself care and nourishment? And make sure that you're prioritizing that. And finally, I end all of these episodes with my note to self, just as I ask all of my guests what note they would give to their past versions of themselves. And today's note to self is speaking to myself just after I'd left Formula One. And this really, really resonates for me, not just at that point, but, even as I navigate this forwards path and bring other aspects into my business, including Death on the Daily and, navigating my path of what am I going to be doing in the death and the grief and the endings and transition space. So my note to myself just after I left Formula One would be this. Oh, hell no, you are not starting again. This new chapter in your life is a rebirth. So don't forget the value that you hold and all of the experience you are taking forwards with you. And remember, all of this is new. It will at many times and sometimes on the daily feel so scary. But I promise you this, you will get through this. And step by step, success will come. So that is my note to self. And with that promise to all of us, if we navigate our life with that presence, with that connection, we can take those steps to understand, okay, how can I thrive more in my authentic self in this next chapter? So wherever you are in your journey, if you're navigating a threshold in life, or if you're contemplating one that is maybe soon or in the longer term to come, know that I and Death on the Daily, we are here with you. Bookmark these episodes. If there's something that you feel when you're listening to these episodes, oh, this could be really, really useful for me at some point, bookmark these episodes, share them with other people who are navigating their own transitions and endings in life, and know wherever you are in this journey that I am supporting you, I'm cheering you on, and I'm sending you lots and lots of love.
All of my gratitude to you for joining me for another Dead Conversation. Death on the Daily is edited by David Strutt. The music is Set Free by Katie Gray. And I am Tanya Wilkinson. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would be over the moon if you can rate, review, and subscribe. It really, really helps me to get the word out there. And if you want to say hi or to hear more about my work as a coach and death doula, including how I support my clients to navigate their death on the daily, then all of the ways that you can connect with me are in the show notes. I'll be back soon with some more dead conversations. And in the meantime, take good care of yourself and others.
There's a cold fire, there's a crossfire, and there's something inside, and we'll never make it, and we'll never break.